today I want to welcome a very special person that I have and that I've encountered and met. And I want to share him with you with the rest of Africa. His name is Mr. Pabalelo MasThe, and I am really privileged to have him here as one of the interviewees that I will have during my Bonbon discussions. So, Mr. MasThe, please give us a little bit of background about yourself and tell us more about yourself.
No problem. I grew up in Northwest, a village called Vogelsdriespan. I did my grade 1 to 12 in Wombat, Bella, Large School Varambat and War School Varambat, where I played a lot of sports, mostly played rugby, cricket, and soccer, but my strong point was cricket. I am currently working as a business intelligence analyst in Mpumalanga for a mining company called Columbus Stainless. And I did my degree in information technology from 2015 to 2017. I did it at PSN Institute of Higher Education. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I can hear that you have a lot to offer us here at the business school and that you have quite a lot of extensive experience. Tell us about, I've read in your review there's a lot of analyzing that you do and you are quite involved in stock taking and stock controls. Can you give us a little bit of more information on that?
Yes, on a daily basis, we work with databases for the company, which is generating daily data. Example for engineering department, since we are a manufacturing company, so we deal mostly with raw material. For us from an IT side, what we do is create a report such as a stock sheet, which will show you the opening balance and closing balance for different months. And if it doesn't balance, we have mechanisms in place to trigger emails to the relevant managers to tell them this is not balancing, something went wrong. It can be something in terms of chemistry on the steel or merely the weight on the steel not weighing up as how it came in. It came in as this weight but went out in a different weight, which can be a red alert that something in between happened.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. The mechanisms that you have in place, what type of mechanisms do you use, Mr. MasThe?
We use there's a function called a trigger, which will mostly look into 3 or 4 different tables or databases, compare the data, and if the data doesn't balance, that's when it will trigger an email to the relevant managers. And other things that we're making use of is store procedures. For such a store procedure, it's a function that is being used by SQL statements, which is a prepared language, and that's one of the mechanisms that we use.
Okay, I've also noticed that you analyze statements, and it really triggers me to know how on earth can you detect fraud by analyzing statements? Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, well, the simplest example I can give you is, let's say for this month you had five products on hand.
Yes.
And at the end of the month you only sold 3. So you should be left with 2. But then the system is telling you no, you're left with nothing. And the other 2 that is supposed to be left with, it's not accounted for. And that's where our systems will come into place to notify the relevant managers that we have a fraud detection possibility here. 3 were sold, here are the prices, here are the stock item numbers, and 2 were not sold, but they're no longer on the stock profile. Here's the stock items, where are they? And that's what we can provide.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. And after they have that information, what's the next step then for them?
For them from there on, the next step would be to look at the system. Did the system work correctly? And if we can detect such such frauds, it means the system worked correctly. So it becomes a thing of now investigating internally within a specific department who handles stock taking.
Yes, yes. Mr. Mashishi, this really sounds very, very interesting. Tell us, how can you use this information that you have or a business owner has? How can they use it as in their businesses or maybe expand it to the rest of Africa? How can they do that? How will it impact on them?
Good question. The way I can answer it is that, well, 2 months ago, I met up with a friend of mine whose family owns a construction business, and SARS closed on them of around 15 million that was not paid of tax. Reason being, what he mentioned to me was that, well, the person who's responsible for paying SARS came back to us with proof of payments that SARS has been paid. Now, the questions that came to me was that, okay, if SARS was paid and the business went ahead with business knowing that they are paid, they are sorted, what is the feedback from SARS to the company? Who's responsible for receiving that feedback? Those were the kind of questions that came to mind. The person who's responsible for paying SARS, where does this information go? Do they have a database for storing such information? Those were the questions that came up, and I didn't get the answers to it, but the solutions I thought about for it was that, okay, now fine, let's say now you have a system in place whereby 2 months before you need to do your tax returns, you have a system that will notify you that your tax returns are due. And so far, this is where you are financially with everything. This system will show you all the documents that have been submitted and all the documents that you need to submit. Whoever is responsible for submitting them should also be within the database so that they can take responsibility for everything. And the communication back from SARS should also be stored into the database so that the relevant managers can actually be have an audit trail of how everything went about. Because a lot of companies at the moment are making a lot of money, but they're still paper-based. They
Yes,
are, and due to that, the audit trail is a bit tricky. We cannot track everything properly. So once we have something that before you submit, it gives you everything, and after submission, you have an audit trail, a complete audit trail, I believe that it will cut through lots of fraud.
yes. That is quite valuable because with a tax man, you must be on his right side and have a proper audit trail. Otherwise, you can have lengthy problems for many years in your life. That's very valuable
Yes,
information for businesses, and they should never neglect that. Um,
yes.
Mr. Moshizi, are there any other initiatives that you can maybe suggest that businesses can follow from your side as a businessman? What can you suggest?
Uh, Invest in automating the processes. Invest in automating your processes. It creates an easier audit trail, streamline operations, and it's reliable and it's quicker to get information. And
Yes,
it makes it easier for the auditors as well.
yes, that is so true because it's then more hands on and you can, I guess, you can detect errors easily if you have a
Yes,
proper digital system that you can use.
yes.
Yes. Um, Mr. Moshishi, are there maybe any last comments from your side?
No, so far, no.
I would like to thank you for your time. And it's quite some time after work, and you did go the extra mile. So thank you so much. And I know that the audience will really appreciate your input and the value that you've added to this whole project. So thank you and good luck with you in all your endeavors that you have in future. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. No problem. And thank you for your time.
Pleasure.